Good evening, I'm John Carter and welcome to Poland Daily. The funeral of the mayor of Gdansk, Paweł Adamowicz, who was murdered on Sunday, will most likely take place this Saturday. In Gdansk and many other cities in Poland, days of mourning have been announced. The detained assassin, Stefan W., was officially arrested and charged with murder today. According to the Ministry of Interior and Administration, the killer had mental disorders.
Stop Hatred was the motto of many marches by residents in many Polish cities, which took place yesterday to commemorate the death of the Gdańsk mayor Paweł Adamowicz. Thousands of people gathered in the March of Silence in the city of Gdańsk itself. I think that we may witness many different reactions by people. People may have various political associations, but now we need a time of silence, time for reflection. I'm scared of what may happen in the political scene in Gdańsk now. Certainly our young generation is very active. You see it on social media. Everyone is trying to support each other.
Social media.
Pomeranian Voivode announced days of mourning throughout the entire Pomeranian Voivodeship until the day of the funeral. The mayors of Gdynia, Sopot, Warsaw, Wrocław and Poznań also joined in. President Andrzej Duda said yesterday that the funeral day of Paweł Adamowicz will be declared a day of national mourning.
Mam wolę tego, aby pamięć tego polityka została uczczona.
It is my will to commemorate the memory of this politician with a day of national mourning. I asked when that day would be set. I wanted it to be a joint decision that we as a political class would take together. We have determined that the best day will be the one set by the family, which is the day of the funeral.
Ten dzień, który zostanie ustalony przez rodzinę jako dzień pogrzebu.
The role of a temporary commissioner of Gdańsk was accepted by the Hitero 2 deputy mayor Aleksandra Dulkiewicz.
Jeszcze raz.
Once again, I would like to thank you very much for all the words of compassion, solidarity, good thoughts, first and foremost on behalf of the mayor's family.
W imieniu rodziny pana prezydenta.
The perpetrator of the attack on Paweł Adamowicz, Stefan W., pleaded not guilty. The prosecutor's office charged him with murder and decided to arrest him for 3 months.
Hello, my name is Stefan W. I was innocent and was wrongfully in jail. The Civic Platform Party tortured me. That is why Adamowicz just died.
The highest penalty for the act he committed is life in prison. According to the Ministry of Interior and Administration, in the past, Stefan W. was undergoing psychiatric treatment. Yesterday, the website Wirtualna Polska reported that he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia while serving a sentence for bank robberies. According to unofficial reports, the funeral will probably take place on Saturday, and Paweł Adamowicz's body will be cremated.
Following the shocking murder of the mayor of Gdansk, Paweł Adamowicz, an increasing number of people are calling for a cleansing of aggression and hatred from Polish politics. However, the pushback hasn't deterred some corners from seeking political gain from the tragic events.
After the death of the president of Gdańsk, appeals to stop the never-ending spiral of hatred and aggression came from both political sides in Poland. The issue was also raised by the president of Poland, Andrzej Duda, and the clergyman of the Polish Catholic Church.
Żeby powstrzymać się od wszelkich.
I appeal to everyone to not make this into an argument, especially not a political one. We're all in deep pain.
Nad tym bardzo.
However, there were some people who called the tragic incident a political assassination. As Mr. President said yesterday, it was a murder of an official, of a public servant. President Adamowicz died fulfilling his duties. He was a representative of the country. The man who killed him wanted to have revenge on him for being allegedly mistreated by the authorities. It was indeed a murder of a politician, but not a political murder. The question remains whether the Gdańsk tragedy can put an end to the emotions that are running high in Polish politics. It's even possible that because of the tragic incident, the political campaigns for the European Parliament elections and the parliamentary elections in Poland will get even more aggressive. Even now, some politicians are trying to use this tragedy as a political tool. The brutal murder of Paweł Adamowicz was a huge shock for the Polish political scene. Unfortunately, the chance of subsequent broader change seems unlikely.
The ongoing saga concerning Brexit continues to rumble on. Tonight, the Houses of Commons will vote on the agreement concerning the conditions of the United Kingdom's exit from the European Union negotiated by Theresa May's government. It is highly likely that the parliamentarians will reject the agreement. However, the 17.6 million members of the public who voted for Brexit are still left wondering if their vote will be honoured by the British establishment.
The ministers of the Prime Minister's cabinet support the agreement negotiated by May. Many of them feel that even if Theresa May loses today's vote in Parliament, there is no way it will lead to her resignation.
Yes, I am against no deal. I am for the Prime Minister and I'm for the withdrawal agreement today. And as the Daily Mail editorial said today, we need to put our country first.
I think the Prime Minister will make her case this evening to all my colleagues with force and eloquence, and I think there's no question of the Prime Minister resigning. The Parliamentary Party voted that they had confidence in her last year. I believe the Prime Minister is doing the right thing. I believe she should continue to lead the party in the country.
The Labour Party rejects the agreement concerning the United Kingdom's exit from the European Union. A part of Conservatives and the Coalition Democratic Unionist Party of Northern Ireland will vote against the proposal as well. An agreement on the border status between Ireland and Northern Ireland, the so-called backstop, has raised a lot of doubts.
We said to the Prime Minister that she needed to, our preference, get rid of the backstop and have a withdrawal agreement that could be lived with. Unfortunately, I don't even think that the Prime Minister asked to get rid of the backstop.
The agreement will be accepted if 320 parliamentarians support it. Great Britain is due to leave the European Union on March 29th.
The Italian communist terrorist Cesare Battisti has been extradited to Italy from Bolivia. Battisti had been sentenced for 4 murders in the 1970s, but escaped justice after being given asylum by socialist heads of states, first in France and more recently in Brazil. However, with the new National Conservative president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, about to assume power, Cesare Battisti decided to illegally cross into Bolivia in December, where he was captured and sent back to Italy. After 37 years, justice has finally caught up with him.
Cesare Battisti was initially sentenced to 12 years in jail in 1979, having been a member of a terrorist organization. He managed to escape in 1981 and was given asylum in France by the socialist president François Mitterrand. Battisti was sentenced in absentia in 1988 for having participated in 4 murders committed by his communist terror organization, Armed Proletarians for Communism. In the early 2000s, France changed their stance and Battisti fled to Brazil, where he was given sanctuary by the socialist president Lula. He remained under protection until the conservative candidate Jair Bolsonaro won the Brazilian presidential election in October. The Italian Minister of Interior, Matteo Salvini, thanked Bolsonaro for his help during a rally in Milan on Sunday.
Ringrazio.
I want to thank those who made this change possible, the new president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, who took away the protection of Cesare Battisti. Battisti is a murderer, not a writer, not an ideologist. Reading some newspapers, you have the impression he is almost a philosopher, a free thinker. He was sentenced by Italian courts to life because he personally killed innocent people. He is a communist murderer. That's all. For me, he will rot in jail for the rest of his life. Battisti, aged 64, will now be taken to a prison on the island of Sardinia, where he will serve a full life sentence for his heinous crimes.
Thank you very much for joining us here this evening at Poland Daily. I'm John Carter. Stay tuned after the break for Poland Daily weather and then the business. And that's followed by the culture, the travel and the history.
Good evening, I'm Paulina Otterstein and welcome again to Poland Daily Weather. Tonight it will be quite icy in the eastern parts of Poland, like in Białystok -4 degrees Celsius, -3 in Lublin as well as in Rzeszów. The warmest area will be around Koszalin with 2 degrees Celsius, and in central Poland we are expecting -1. A fair amount of snow is coming up tonight. And now let's check the forecast for tomorrow. Tomorrow we will have quite a raise up in temperatures up to 7 degrees. In the area of Szczecin, also 6 degrees. In Koszalin as well as in Gdańsk, 6 degrees will be seen in Wrocław as well as in Poznań and Zielona Góra. Central Poland will see 5 degrees together with Bydgoszcz, and the minimum temperature will be 3 degrees Celsius tomorrow, so no minus temperatures, yet quite a bit of snow and rain will appear. This is all for tonight. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
You are watching Poland Daily Business Edition, and tonight our guest is Olaf Wojak of Adam Smith Center. Sir, welcome to the show.
Good evening.
We will talk about the Sunday trading restrictions. This year, it was introduced last year. The 2 Sundays each month were limited sales to only the small grocery shops. The large centers operate in the first and the last Sunday of the month. This year, the restrictions are further increased because the only 1 Sunday in a month will be allowed to provide the sales in the huge shopping centers and big markets. The question is, do we see any impact of this regulation on trade volume as the trade industry feared in the beginning of 2018?
First of all, any restrictions are bad for a free market, so there shouldn't be any. But if there are, they should be as simple as possible. Right now, the system is not flexible. It's pretty hard for the customers and for the businesses to think if this Sunday is a trading Sunday or not. And from the beginning, at the Adam Smith Center, we said that, first of all Sundays should be tradable and you should make your own decisions for yourself. But if not, it's much simpler if none of the Sundays are
to ban all of them.
Well, it's simple for business. Every opportunity of mistake costs the business, costs customers, and most of all, costs the budget. So, do we already see the effects of this limit? Yes. There are small businesses closing. About 5,000 of them closed last year, and for one of the main reasons said that they're not able to trade on Sundays. So the big businesses, discounts and markets are doing 70% of what they were supposed to do on Sundays and other days. But the problem is that the law is changing from the moment that the law was made. It's still changing. So some of the businesses tried to act as they were a post office or as a gallery. And
that's a mimicry we will discuss a little bit later. But you said a disturbing thing that small businesses, small local shops are not able to compete, despite the fact that the Sunday is like the fact that they are allowed to operate on Sunday was to give them advantage over the big markets.
The most important thing is free choice. This is what our fathers were fighting for, and we believe that in a situation where the government decides that we should supposed to have this day free or not, it's violating freedom of the customers who are not able to decide to buy any goods on particular Sunday.
That's on high ideological level. But let's go down to the ground, to the point of view of small shops. Why
please let me finish.
There is no customers on Sunday?
I will answer this question, but please let me finish. So first of all, the customers lose because of not able to making a decision. Then the businesses lose. So the businesses don't do enough trading. They are not able to make enough money. We have to understand that right now trading is a tough business. The margins are low, and you have to fight for each zloty, for each money so you can pay the rent, so you can pay taxes, high taxes that we have in Poland. We have a very expensive social security system, so we have to pay for our employees and for ourselves, and that's a lot of money. And when there's 1/7 or 1/14 cut out, then you have lower possibilities of making it still a profitable business. So so the businesses lose, and the budget loses too, also because there are, I mean, less taxes are getting into the budget because of
Let's
this.
focus
and
on
then
this small
the employees.
shop.
Okay, I understand.
That's located somewhere in the residential area.
Where when they have the possibility of making extra money through Sundays. And in this particular law, they don't have the choice. So there are people that are studying during the week, and they want to work on Sundays or Saturdays, and they have less possibilities. And this is the problem. So does it influence the market? Yes, it does. And unfortunately, at most, it influences the small business, which, you know, it's building economy, every economy. The small and medium businesses are building economies. So when there is a law which limits their possibilities, then it's something that's it's not supposed to be happening.
Okay, but let's go to the basics and to the reality. We have a law.
But this is reality.
We have a law that restricts that is sort of aimed to restrict operations of the big retailers during the certain Sundays. And at the same time, the small family-owned shops are allowed to produce. Mainly those shops sells groceries or vegetables or kind of
not
this kind
really.
of things.
No, sorry, not really, because the law allows only the owner to run a shop. So, I mean, how small a shop has to be run by one person. Yes, so it's
owner
not,
and his family.
But if the family is not his employees, then they're it's not legal for them to work. I mean, you should not do this. Yes, you should not allow your family to work if they're not official employees. So it's aiming at small businesses, but the problem is that the law shouldn't be aimed at anyone. I mean, the rules should be equal. Okay. The problem in Poland is that the law isn't equal for everyone, and it's very complicated. We have lots of little notes that makes the law different for everyone, and this is the problem. The law should be absolutely equal. The taxes should be absolutely equal. Then the small business will always find a way to conquer with bigger ones,
yes.
but compete with bigger ones. But when the law makes those small differences, then there's a trouble. I mean, corruption gets in, interpretation of the law.
Whether you're allowed or not. And
our problem is growing for 30 years because we gained a law that was when we had the exchange, when the socialists lost, and we had a free country 30 years ago. The law was complicated and it was made especially for government-owned companies. And the law didn't change a lot; it just growed over already false systems. So
we started to speak about the omission of the law, or how to make your way around. And you have the big retailers like fuel stations that suddenly became grocery stores. You have another chain of grocery stores that decided to become a postal office that also was exempt from these regulations. And well, again, the law should be made very carefully because it either considers everyone or no one.
But this is what happens where the restrictions are made. I mean, the market is trying to fight over and is trying to find ways to go all over it, and it's absolutely natural. So the best way is to give people free choice. Even if the government believes Sundays should be free, still we are the people living in this country, and we should decide for ourselves. And this would be the best for our economy. This would be the best for our budget.
Olaf Wojak of Adam Smith Center, sir. Thank you very much for coming to the show. And that was it for tonight's Poland Daily Business.
Hello, this is Poland Daily Weather and I'm Paulina Otterstein. Let's check what will happen tomorrow in our country. So very nice and warm temperatures up to 7 degrees Celsius in the area of Szczecin, 6 degrees in Koszalin, Gdańsk. Also we'll see 6 degrees in Poznań, Zielona Góra and Wrocław. Quite a bit of rain and snow will appear in the whole country and the minimum temperature will be 3 degrees Celsius in Rzeszów as well as in Białystok with a little bit of sun. And now let's check what will happen in Europe tomorrow. So the coolest will be Kiev with -1 degree and some snow will appear there as well. 3 degrees in Warsaw. We are expecting also Berlin, Prague 3 degrees and the warmest will be of course 14 degrees in Lisbon. Portugal also 14 degrees in Rome are expected and 11 degrees in Madrid, Spain. This is all for tonight. Thank you for watching. Good night.
Welcome to Poland Daily Culture. On today's episode, we're here from the Polish National Library at Kruszyński Palace.
Today we will explore the life of Wacław Seweryn Rzewuski from 1784 to 1831. Rzewuski is a little-known, underrated, yet influential figure in Poland who inspired poets, painters and travelers alike. Mickiewicz dedicated the poem titled Farys to him. Słowacki immortalized him in the poem titled Pride about Wacław Rzewuski. Wincenty Pol called him Goldber Hetman. Wacław Rzewuski was a Polish explorer, poet, orientalist and horse expert. He was born on December 15, 1784 in Lwów, and later on served in the Austrian army, fighting at Aspern-Essling in 1809. During his time in Vienna, his relative, the famous traveler and adventurer Jan Potocki, stirred his interest in travel to the lands of the Middle East, and he took up the study of Turkish and Arabic. Together with the pioneering Austrian Orientalist Joseph von Hammer-Purgstall, he founded one of the first professional journals of Middle East and Islamic studies, Sources for Oriental Studies, which was published in 6 folio volumes from 1809 to 1819.
I'm here at Pałac Kruszyński and I'm joined by the author, Mr. Jacek Krawczyk. Mr. Jacek Krawczyk, welcome to Poland Daily Culture. We're here today to discuss the life and times of Wacław Rzewuski. Maybe you could start off by telling our viewers a little something about the man.
Rzewuski po powrocie z Arabii Saudyjskiej błyskawicznie sława jego i opowieść o jego wyczynach w Arabii.
His manuscript, as I said before, has been in the making for several years. After returning from Arabia, Rzewuski quickly became famous, and the stories of his actions inspired many Polish poets. He became the hero of the first beautifully written poems. In 1828, Adam Mickiewicz dedicated to him the poem Farys.
Kilka lat później Juliusz Słowacki dumę o Wacławie Rzewuskim. Jednym słowem, jego przygoda, jego wyprawa.
A few years later, Juliusz Słowacki wrote Pride about Wacław Rzewuski. His trip became a very beautiful story thanks to the greatest Polish poets. What part of the story is a lie and what is the truth? We tried to figure it out. Whether we succeed or not, readers will judge for themselves, and their judgment will be very important. The manuscript, like other important historical sources from the 19th century, could have been lost during uprisings, confiscations, and wars that Poland experienced. The manuscript, like other important historical sources from the 19th century, could have been lost during uprisings, confiscations, and wars that Poland experienced.
A to z racji kolejnych powstań, a to konfiskat, a to wojen, które przytaczały się przez tereny Rzeczypospolitej. Rzewuski, sam będąc synem
Rzewuski was the son of the great crown hetman Seweryn Rzewuski, who was considered a traitor. His father was one of the signatories of the Targowica Confederation. By the verdict of the court during the Kosciuszko uprising, his puppet was hung on the streets of Warsaw. He was sentenced to death, but he was no longer in Warsaw.
Powstania kościuszkowskiego, jego kukła została powieszona na ulicach Warszawy. Pozostał skazany na karę śmierci.
After returning, he became involved in the activities of the underground organization, which was denounced by the Tsarist authorities due to the denunciation.
Po powrocie zaangażował się w działania konspiracyjnej organizacji.
Outbreak of the January uprising, Rzewuski organized a unit and together with the Cossacks took part in one of the most important battles of the November uprising. He died during the Battle of Dachau in May 1831.
1831 roku. Niektórzy twierdzą, że w ten sposób starał się zmazać to piętno zdrady swojego ojca. Jak było, nie wiemy.
Some people say that in this way he tried to erase his father's bad reputation by taking the actions. But we don't know how it is for real. The legend and the history of this manuscript showed what kind of person he was.
Historia tegoż manuskryptu, bo w ramach represji za udział w powstaniu listopadowym dobra.
As part of the repression, Rzewuski's goods were confiscated for the participation in the November uprising. The manuscript successfully escaped confiscation. Until the end, it's not known how and where it was stored.
Wiadomo tyle, że raz się pojawiał, raz znikał. Tuż po I wojnie światowej został przywieziony przez jednego z ostatnich właścicieli dóbr wierzchowna do Polski i sprzedany Bibliotece Narodowej.
We only know that after the First World War, it was brought to Poland by one of the last owners of the Wierzchownia estate in Wolin and sold to the Polish National Library.
W początku XIX wieku nie zachowało się wiele tak wiernych i tak pasjonujących opisów.
The Polish National Library tried to interest the world with this unique manuscript 90 years ago. It is unique because we didn't have so many fascinating descriptions of Syria in the Arabian Peninsula and Arabian horses at the beginning of the 19th century.
Do I wieku, dzięki po pierwsze popularnemu wydaniu po francusku w Paryżu w 2002 roku.
In the 20s and 30s of the 20th century, the manuscript successfully survived the Second World War. It was not until the early 21st century the manuscript interested Orientalists and readers, thanks to the French edition in Paris in 2002.
Muzeum Katarskie wydania rękopisu w całości. Rękopis był po francusku. Wspaniałym wyzwaniem było odczytanie go, próba zrozumienia.
In 2012, the Polish National Library launched a project financed by the Qatar Museum. The project concerned the publication of the entire manuscript in French. The attempt to understand the manuscript and present it as the author would want was a great challenge.
Kolumnę druku, jak Rzewuski pisał swój rękopis. Mamy pełno zagadek. Różne rzeczy.
We tried to reproduce exactly the same print column as the author did in the typographic layout. We don't understand many things. We don't know why the author used those drawings instead of using something else. We hope that someday we'll be able to solve the mystery connected with the Wacław Seweryn Rzewuski family and his manuscript.
Jakąś cegiełkę do tego i może zostaną różne zagadki związane z Wacławem Sewerynem Rzewuskim oraz jego rękopisem zostaną w końcu wyjaśnione.
Dziękuję bardzo, Mr. Jacek Krawczyk. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us at Poland Daily Culture. Join us again tomorrow when we take another journey through Polish culture.
"1918 marks a significant year in the Polish history. It is the year in which Poland regained its independence from a three-way partition. Here with us is the founder of the Armenian Foundation, Maciej Bohosiewicz, and we will be exploring the contributions of the Armenian soldiers in the process of regaining that independence. When we talk about Polish history, it is hard to not mention the war during 1918 to 1920. And I was wondering, what are the contributions of the Armenian population during the time of the war for regaining independence?
Wracająca do niepodległości Polska.
The Armenians left a significant mark on the history of Poland's fight for independence. There are hundreds of examples. It is actually much harder to find an Armenian family which didn't have someone who fought for Poland than it is to find one which did.
W działaniach niepodległościowych.
They helped in many different ways, whether they were carrying a weapon or aiding the Polish cause some other way. The Armenians chose Poland to be their country.
Tamtego rejonu. The
first example that springs to mind is the defense of Lviv in 1918 against the Ukrainians, and then in 1920 against the Bolsheviks. Young Armenian children and teenagers helped in the defense of the city. Fortunately, none of those children died in combat, but dozens of them took part in this fight. In the 1920 struggle with the Bolshevik Revolution, we should remember the figure of Konstanty Zarugiewicz and his family. Zarugiewicz was a young Polish Armenian who was slaughtered with 300 of his brothers in arms in the Battle of Zadvorze. He and his unit fought until the last bullet, and even after that, using their fists and bayonets, but they were wiped out by the Russian cavalry. They died a heroic death, defending the outpost which would enable the Bolsheviks to take the city.
Konstanty Zarugiewicz zginął wraz ze swoimi towarzyszami broni, a jego matka Jadwiga Zarugiewiczowa.
Zarugiewicz's mother was asked to point one of the coffins of the unknown, fallen, young soldiers to be sent to Warsaw, where the tomb of the unknown soldier monument was being made.
Chłopców bijących się o niepodległość właśnie Lwowa, która to strumień miała trafić do nowo
powstającego. It was the year 1925. Jadwiga Zarugiewicz chose one of the coffins and it was transported to Warsaw with great honors and state celebrations.
Wśród innych zostaje wybrana i jest ulokowana na lawecie, która z wielkimi honorami państwowymi jedzie z miasta Lwowa do Warszawy, gdzie odbywa się przepiękna ceremonia religijna.
In the capital there were solemn religious ceremonies, after which the coffin with the young hero's body was lowered into the tomb of the unknown soldier.
Nieznanego żołnierza. Z kolei Jadwiga Zarugiewiczowa jest symboliczną matką.
That made Jadwiga Zarugiewicz a symbolic mother of all the unknown fallen soldiers. She's a prime example of Polish Armenians who gave everything for Poland.
Najbardziej znaną w naszym środowisku i wydaje nam się najbardziej zasłużoną matka.
She even sacrificed her own son for the independence of Poland, and until the very end she was faithful to the idea of freedom.
Swoim ideom niepodległościowym.
The cursed soldiers is a term familiar to most of the Polish population. It describes the soldiers that were prosecuted, hunted down, and tortured and killed by the Russian regime after the World War. Among those cursed soldiers prosecuted were also a lot of Armenians. Here with us, Mr. Maciej Bohosiewicz, founder of the Armenian Foundation. We will talk about the cursed soldiers after the World War. During and after the World War, when the communist regime is all over Poland, the Stalinists hunt down Polish soldiers, murder, torture them, throw them in ditches, and they were later on known as the cursed soldiers. And I was wondering if there are the Armenian population amongst its ranks, and what can you tell us about the Armenian soldiers that is part of the Polish cursed soldiers?
Oczywiście wśród grupy
Of course, in the ranks of the Polish armed forces and the so-called cursed soldiers, we can find examples of Armenians as well.
Ormianina Waleriana Tumanowicza, nazwisko Tumanian po ormiańsku.
One of them was Valerian Tumanowicz, Tumanian in Armenian.
Postacią dla społeczności. Walerian Tumanowicz od samego początku
Since the very beginning, he followed a straight path. He joined the Polish legions and fought for the independence of Poland in the beginning of the 20th century. Then, in 1940s, he joined the Polish underground state.
Przechodzi cały szlak bojowy, by potem w latach 40. działać w podziemiu niepodległościowym. W 1947 roku Walerian Tumanowicz
After the war in 1947, he was captured by the communists.
On nie godził się na taką historię Polski, nie chciał uznać z grupą.
He and his fellow soldiers never came to terms with the Soviet occupation of Poland. In 1947, he was put into prison in Krakow and brutally tortured.
Osadzony w więzieniu w Krakowie na Montelupich, gdzie poddany zostaje makabrycznym torturom i znęcaniu się nad tym człowiekiem, aby wydobyć oskarżające go zeznania, a także swoich współbraci broni.
The communists tried to force him to rat on his friends and to admit to his quote-unquote crimes.
Wystąpienia sądowego, ostatniej swojej przemowy końcowej, powiedział następujące słowa. Z krwi jestem Ormianinem, z ducha i przekonań jestem Polakiem.
His final words at the rigged trial were, "In blood I am Armenian, but my soul and virtues are Polish. From my mother I learned to hate the USSR."
Wyrokiem był to wyrok unicestwienia, zabicia Waleriana Tumanowicza.
This kind of a statement could only end one way for Valerian Tumanowicz, and that was sadly a death sentence, which was carried out on the next day.
W tamtych czasach, aby upokorzyć rodzinę i najbliższych.
What's even more horrible is that to humiliate his family as well, his body was dismembered and the parts sent into different parts of Poland, so they could never be found. Because of that, the family couldn't even give him a proper burial. Up to this day, we can't find the body parts of this great Polish-Armenian hero. It's another example of how the Armenians shared the same fate as Poles. It's an unprecedented phenomenon.
Najlepsze ukazanie fenomenu etnicznego polskich Ormian.
I always say that we have two hearts, the Armenian heart and the Polish heart.
Serce ormiańskie i serce polskie.
Many Armenian soldiers were prosecuted after the Second World War alongside the Polish soldiers for having fought with them arms in arms. The sacrifice of the Armenians left a permanent mark in Polish history, for they died not only as Armenians, but as Polish soldiers. That's it for today. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. I'll see you next time on Poland Daily History.
Welcome to Poland Daily Travel again. Today we will be going underground. That's right, we'll be riding in style on the Warsaw metro system. There are two metro lines in the city of Warsaw, serving the center of the city all the way to the suburbs, from Kabaty to Młociny. The north-south line, the M1, links central Warsaw with its densely populated northern and southern areas. The first east-west segment of the M2 line opened on March 8, 2015. The M2 line will continue to be extended, and a third line, the M3, is planned. The first section of the M1 was opened in 1995. and it reached its full length in October of 2008. The M2 section is 6 kilometers or about 4 miles long. This east-west section contains a tunnel deep beneath the Vistula River. There are 7 stations connecting the heart of the city from Praga all the way to the west. There are 7 sections on the east-west M2. Passengers seem to like it. You can get around town in comfort. Whether for business or pleasure, the system is rated very highly by its many passengers. That being said, let's have a look with Poland Daily Travel as we go underground on the metro in Warsaw.
I remember that one of the problems in London was you started in one place and you would get almost to I used to live, for example, in 2 different places in London, quite different kinds of places. Hampstead, up the hill.
Which actually has the deepest underground station.
I'm glad you brought that up. What is the deepest metro station in Warsaw?
I've no idea.
Does anyone know?
Probably.
It could be on the M2.
Probably Świętokrzysko or the other one there at Nowy Świat.
Yeah, Nowy Świat.
It may be Nowy Świat or it may be the one by the river because it's got to go under the river, and that's really deep. You got to go.
Yes,
they're
but then
too long.
There isn't much of an up. It doesn't. You don't feel much of an ascent from the Copernicus station on this side of the river. Until Nowy Świat. So it's going all the way under, and it's got to come up, you know.
It's got to come up.
Climb the hill from Powisła. So
yeah, I think Nowy Świat must be deep.
But I remember the escalator in the. I was just there last night, you know, because I wanted to, before we were talking, I wanted to actually see all of those stations on the new line, and I remember the Copernicus station, 2 long escalators to get down to the bottom. And not one elevator. I couldn't find an elevator that was going all the way.
I'm sure they have elevators.
There must be. I couldn't find it.
It does, to me, it strikes me as odd, however, that they didn't just come out the side of the hill there and go build a bridge over the Vistula.
You mean a bridge for the, be easier than the tunnel under?
Yes.
Another bridge. Well, there's already a bunch of bridges.
Generally, bridges are cheaper than tunnels.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Although they were digging. It depends. It maybe depends.
Silly me.
Exactly.
Not knowing my bridge and tunnel prices.
But it might depend on the material through which they're digging the tunnel. This was sand.
Tunnel prices are the same as
all the
sand is very expensive to make tunnel in.
Yeah, sand is unstable.
Do you remember when they were building it, it flooded for a while as well?
I remember that was You mean the M2?
Yeah.
It took a long time because they had to figure out the flooding. But it goes right under the river. And then that station is right next to the river, so it has to be pretty far down. But I'm trying to think of the equivalent under the Thames in London, for example. I call it the Thames.
Dear.
Yeah, and then people told me...
Nobody else does.
Yeah, I know. They said it's like Tims, like a guy called Tim.
Yeah.
Thames River.
Well, it's the Thames. In Oxford, it's known as the Isis, but it's the Thames everywhere else.
Is it?
A little bit of local knowledge for you there.
I didn't know that. Okay, whenever I'm in Oxford, I shall conform.
But the London Underground,
ISIS.
but the London Underground goes on bridges over the Thames.
Yep.
It doesn't go underground. I don't think there are any underground tunnels.
Washington Metro goes under the river.
But there's no tunnels under the Thames?
Well,
for the
underground, I'm trying to think whether
the
northern. I'm trying to think whether I don't think.
No, what if you're going to Brixton? That was the other place I lived. Also hard to get to late at night.
So, yeah, right.
Like Hampstead.
Maybe those two. Maybe the Northern Line and the Victoria Line do go.
Northern Line goes under. Yeah.
But the District Line certainly goes over bridges.
Yeah,
the green one.
That's true. Yeah, the green and yellow. No, the green one.
The green
circles the yellow. Right? Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah,
I think so.
The circle's yellow. Yeah.
Well,
as I say, I'm no expert, but he is. Okay.
Well, I don't know what the practicalities of building a tunnel versus building a bridge were for the metro there. Maybe there was something that precluded them from building a bridge. We've seen tunnel projects recent and current in Poland regarding road infrastructure where a bridge was impossible because they had to have shipping lanes clear overhead, and to build a bridge that was going to have 30-odd meters clearance was not possible. So they dug a tunnel under the channel in Gdańsk to connect Nowy Port on the west side and...
You mean Newport?
Yes, Nowy Port Brzeźno on the west side, and on the east side of the channel it is something else.
Say Brzezno 5 times fast.
I've done that. In any case,
good luck with that.
The thing is,
Brzezno 5 times fast.
It wasn't too bad.
It was. I was very skeptical when they said, "Oh, we're building a tunnel." However, it was quite prescient that the tunnel was built there. For those of us who understand the lay of the land, we can make it all the way to Sopot with minimum hassle, but not taking the way that most other people would into Gdańsk. Now in Warsaw, the current project is the S2, which is going to the south of Warsaw, headed southwest towards Lublin, and I believe ultimately towards Lvov. And the S2 is going underground and
it's a highway.
Sinov.
It's a highway.
Yes, this is a superhighway, and it's going underground. It's the A2, S2, I guess. A2 will be underground.
What part of metro do you not understand?
But that's the point of tunnels versus bridges.
No, this is not about tunnels and bridges.
We were talking
Wait
about
a second, this is my show.
And the tunnel, they're going tunneling under Ustinov with a highway and under the river.
Phil is going to maintain that it is about bridges and tunnels. Stay tuned for our further arguing. As I was saying, the underground, no, of course, a fun fact. You're talking about construction of arteries through the capital, right?
Well, yes, and what was the metro, if not an artery?
That's the way I look at it.
And they do more construction because of constriction on the arteries?
Yes, constriction of the arteries leads to construction.
Yes, okay, fair enough. Yeah, okay.
I would say, I suppose.
The urban bypass.
We need an English teacher to help us with that.
We do.
Yeah. Perhaps a professor will write in and let us know if that was correct. At any rate, the Warsaw Metro continues to expand, and it continues to be a very nice ride. I got to tell you, I like to use it. And
similar to the underground, our seats are occasionally upholstered with fabric.
Yeah,
which does not happen in New York City.
Yeah, I even saw the
That
Christmas.
would not last very long.
I saw the Christmas train. Did anybody else see that?
I saw the Christmas. I travel on the Christmas train.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah. In fact, last night I traveled on the Christmas. I said, where all the time I was saying to myself, where is the Christmas train? Oh, where is the Christmas train? As I am wont to do. Phil has heard me say that many times. And then last night I found myself on the platform, and what should pull in? I might as well have expected Santa and his sleigh. It was the Christmas train. That's why, happily, I didn't clamber on, I just leapt on, because I was a bit tired of clambering. And I rode it to the end of the line, which would be Dvorzec, that means station, Wileński, which, as Phil told us in previous incarnations of this program, that stood for Vienna, right?
No, Wileński is the Vilno. It's Vilnius.
Exactly, just testing. And once again, he passes the test with flying colors.
Wiedeński has not existed for many, many decades.
With flying colors. Well done, well done. Well, there we are. And that's all we can say about the London Underground right now. Hey, folks, stay with us for more exciting chapters of Poland Daily Travel. We're here for you.